Yo, what's going on? This is Tim Thomas, and you're listening to Scoop B Radio. Lock in.
For the 50 millionth time, we sit down with Tim Thomas. Brother, what's going on?
You got it, brother. How's everything?
As a Don Bosco alum, I forgive you for wearing that Paramus Catholic Paladins hoodie.
That's where it's at right now. That's where it's at.
For those tardy to the party, we are talking to NBA legend 12 to 13. Do we count 12 or 13 years?
Well, it's really 14. I was under contract for 14, but I played physically 13. So,
Okay,
however you want to
so
put
so
it.
how are we gonna put it? Tim Thomas, head coach of the Paramus Catholic Paladins, joins us in the building. Brother, Paramus Catholic's got a lot going on.
Yeah, we're trying to rebuild in all phrases. So
Yeah.
it's an exciting time.
And what better way to do it than December 14th? You go up against Patterson's JFK
Mhm.
High School.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a thrill. I mean to play against a guy who actually coached me in high school, and to play against you know friends and to be in a scenario where you have friends and family, people from the neighborhood, coming out to support either Kennedy or myself. It's gonna be a great atmosphere.
Baller TV is where you can catch most of their games. You've got, looking at the schedule, Rutgers Prep, who over the last couple of years have
Mhm.
played well, Camden High School, you know the history with the Wagners, Bergen Catholic, DePaul
Mhm.
Catholic, Don Bosco Prep, uh, as well as St. Joe's, Westfield High School, which is a Metro Classic game on ESPN.
Right.
Which out of all the games on the schedule, which ones are you most? Have you looked at the schedule and you're most excited about?
I'm excited about them all because it's a new chapter, it's a new phrase for the young men that are on board with us now. So I'm looking forward to each and every game is going to present something different, obviously, and we're looking forward to that challenge. Most teams here in the state of New Jersey try to take it easy with the point system and being able to capitalize on playing home state playoff games, but for me and my staff, we figured the best way to, get kids ahead of the game is to run right to the fire, basically, run to the better programs, the better teams, and just have your kids, be in that mindset of always, wanting to compete, each and every day.
I remember the day after Thanksgiving always being hell for basketball players in the tri-state because the day after Thanksgiving was tryouts. Is that still the case now?
No, no. So you have your tryouts the week before Thanksgiving, which ends on that Wednesday. And then your first official practice is that following Monday. So today was actually our first official practice. So it's a little different than back in the day. Back in the day, guys was kind of scared to go dive in and eat heavy and all that kind of stuff because you knew it was coming at 7 in the morning. But it's a little different now. It's a little different now. So it takes a toll, but in the same breath, the kids they have those days off so families can, move around and go visit families or take a quick vacation before, things really kick off.
A little bit more nouveau. Back then, after practice, I feel like your era of basketball, guys was going to McDonald's after practice.
Yeah.
How is today's basketball player different with diet and rest and preparation versus your era?
Oh, man, I mean, they have more access to be able to get that kind of information. They could just pick up their phone, they could see their favorite players, you know, um, check out their diets, their workouts, all of that kind of stuff. So, and then obviously with Google, they could just, jump right on the phones and or their computers and Google. So I would say they have more information about it. And it doesn't help. Well, it doesn't hurt to have, in my situation, two former, Division One players, coaching. So we're able to also kind of help them, in that aspect.
You are a legend in the state of New Jersey, of course, going to Villanova and playing in the NBA. Um, but coming back to New Jersey and coaching, what experience on the AAU circuit prepared you for where you are now as the head coach of Paramus Catholic?
Hmm. Well, I wouldn't say the AAU circuit because AAU is basically fast and rapid. So throughout the summer, most kids kind of stick to their strengths. It's and in most cases, it's kind of hard to actually kind of coach and put together a structure within the team because you got guys just all over the place. Um, but I would just say just my years of playing and playing for some really good coaches, some Hall of Fame coaches. I think that's one of the things that's gonna help me in the long run with just the X and O's aspect of it. How to communicate and deal with certain situations on and off the court. And then, obviously it doesn't hurt to be a guy who was able to play 1 through 5 and know the ins and outs and the tricks and trades of basically every position. So I'm willing to share all that information, with the young kids. And I can honestly say I have a good group of kids. Obviously they're, talented basketball players, but they also headstrong in the classroom. So, it works hand in hand.
I feel like in basketball at large, coaches from high school to college to the NBA are getting younger, and you're seeing more guys like yourself who are players coaches. Whether you go down the line in the NBA where it's Ty Lue, or you look at Ime Udoka, or you look at even Jacques Vaughn, where they're not that far removed from playing,
Right.
but they're old enough to be somebody's uncle, somebody's father, somebody's older brother.
Mhm.
Do you find that with this age group of basketball players that are playing amateurly, social media and being able to Google somebody matters a lot more than it did when you played?
Yeah, because you can kind of tell a kid about a certain individual, and they might not even have a clue who that individual may be. And then boom, you jump on the phone or the computer, and you can show them different things. Whether it's good or bad, right? So it's definitely helpful. It's definitely something that the kids are definitely benefiting from. Even in my cases, the kids ask me questions a lot about myself getting dunked on. Coach, we always see you dunking on 7 footers and this that. Have you ever been dunked on? I'm like, yeah. So I can show them a clip of T Mac dunking on me left-handed, or smaller guard, catching you and dunking the basketball on you. And it's all part of the game, So the one thing that I can say social media is hurting the game is that kids don't want to sacrifice themselves anymore with taking charges and playing aggressive defense because, it's the ooh and ah factor, right? A kid get crossed over, or you get dunked on or whatever. Now you might be a meme or whatever, So it plays, it plays itself.
Paramus Catholic head coach and NBA legend, and Tim Thomas joins us, and we're talking all things hoops, college, high school, and the NBA, which is a perfect segue because you talked about being dunked on. You talked about T Mac. I'll leave it there. I'll let you. I'll keep your pride high, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this. How obsessed are your players in knowing stories about Kobe and you?
The season is just getting here. Some of our AAU kids, they ask a lot of questions about myself, Vince, and some of the guys that came through the program. But with Kobe, I don't know if they're ready to open that up a little bit because, it's still hard for me to kind of, speak on them in certain topics outside of, just how good of a person he was. A lot of people, always see the arrogant side of him and don't really know him, like that. But the kids, they do ask a lot of questions. They do ask a lot of questions, and The Kobe ones haven't really been flowing as of yet, but I'm sure after they see this, they'll start.
Well, damn it, I have a question. So I was surfing the internet and recently saw a video with Rip Hamilton where he was kind of discussing you, Rip Hamilton, and Kobe Bryant were all contemporaries, we're all amateurs, we're all in the ranked in the top 10. And so it's my understanding that you guys were playing a game in somewhere in Maryland. And supposedly, the way Rip Hamilton phrased the story, you were on Kobe's hit list of guys that he wanted
Yeah.
the son.
Yeah.
Did Rip get that story right?
No, I did see that. Rip did not get that story right. First of all, before I even dive into it, right, I don't want anybody to take any of this the wrong way, right? God rest his soul. Kobe is a legend, one of the greatest ones that ever played the game, right? But in that 96 class, it wasn't nobody fucking with me whatsoever, right? And that story, basically, Kobe and Rip and Vince Carter came to play with me during our AAU circuit. That's how bad of a man I was, right? So they came to play with me. The year we separated was the year that Kobe and Rip went back to Philly and they was playing with their Philly team. When we separated, we had won the national championship 2 years back to back. So that summer, while everyone was still playing AAU, going to camps, whatever, I was doing the Michael Jordan. I was actually playing baseball. So when my team went to play in that Maryland tournament, we knew that Kobe and Rip was also in that same tournament. So I told the guys, I said, listen, if we meet up in the championship, I'll drive down. That's exactly what happened. Kobe and them end up winning. My team end up winning. I get the call. I got to drive down. I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday. I drive down. I get down there probably, I don't know who was playing quarters then, but let's just say I got there at the end of the first quarter. Kobe already had 15, 20 points. They was already up. I don't know, maybe 10, 12, whatever you want to call it. So I walk in. I'm not in basketball shape. I'm in baseball shape. So I walk in, and Kobe ended up with 50. I think I ended up with like 35, 40, or something like that. They end up winning, and that was the only time we played against each other in high school. The only time. So what really happened for Kobe to even get close or be mentioned as the number one player was at ABCD basketball camp. We was at that camp together. I was playing against Jermaine O'Neal's team. I dunked the ball, ripped off my fingernail. The very first night of the camp. So I couldn't even play in the camp no more the rest of that week. So obviously Kobe, being the assassin that he was, he ended up just killing the rest of the week. And now it's, Kobe's one, Tim's two. It's all based off your opinion, right? And that's how that played out. So Rip was somewhat close. Kobe did have 50. They did win the game. But that wasn't the determining factor of the opinion base where people said, okay, now Kobe's one, Tim's two, yada, yada. It was at ABCD basketball camp.
So Coatesville, Pennsylvania's own Rip Hamilton, recounting a story for those paying attention about Kobe, who went to Lower Merion, both right outside of Philly. But it was more the ABCD competition than it was the actual tournament in Maryland.
No, the tournament in Maryland actually happened, but the ABCD camp was where Kobe really took that next step. Okay,
I got you. Let me take a step back because I've heard stories about this Maryland tournament. Like I've talked to John Celestin. If I'm not mistaken, he played in that. Didn't Elton Brand play in that too?
Yeah, yep. Elton Brand, Ron Artest, Lamar Odom, all of us. It was the cream of the crop. Yep.
Yeah. You did, I guess, get your revenge in the playoff years later when you remember the Suns. Many people say that was your memorable moment. Can you walk me back to that time in the playoffs when you remember the Suns? Because I felt like you gained a step back. I feel like you bounced around a lot of teams, but the Suns and in that system, it really showcased your ability, I guess, as a combo 3-4.
Right, right. Yeah, so that season was a crazy season. I started with New York. Um, we went on a little slide, and then they had to make some moves. So um, basically, I was on the I think I was either coming off my deal or the last year of my deal. So basically, Chicago made the trade. For whatever reason, Chicago had this thing against me. Never wanted me to play. Whatever. So I end up in Chicago. Chicago buys me out. So now I'm waiting for them to either trade me or do whatever it is that they're gonna do. So I ended up waiting. I wanted to go back to New York, but the way it was structured, I couldn't go back to a Eastern Conference team at all. So I had to a West Coast team. So I had San Antonio. I forget the other team. It was San Antonio, one other team, and then obviously Phoenix. So I end up going to Phoenix because Kurt Thomas and Amari Stoudemire was hurt. So if I was there, I instantly knew that I was going to play right off the bat. And obviously I wanted to make some more money and create another deal out of it, which would have been my fourth. And that was the thing. So once I got there, realizing Steve Nash abilities to be able to pass the ball with either hand, and the way he shot the ball with his percentage and being so consistent, I'm like, wow, this is gonna be something great, because I can easily set a pick for this guy. He's gonna turn the corner and knock it down and find somebody, and then I can easily slip it and create my own shot. So yeah, that was a weird season, but it was one that was needed for me, because it was a breath of fresh air, because we was able to get up and down, just play basketball. You didn't have to worry about X and O's too much. It was just a lot of read and react, and it was a great time.
You flourished in D'Antoni ball, but many of some of your other counterparts didn't have the same story. What is the friction between some people and Mike D'Antoni? It's either you love him or you hate him.
I don't know. I mean, I had a great relationship with him, and I just think, with my game and my skill set, I could fit in anywhere, right? Some of the other guys that you may be talking about, maybe they had trouble based off of their skill set and not being able to flourish in that type of offense. But with his offense, if you can handle the ball, shoot the ball, and run the floor, you should be fine, right? You should be fine. But I don't know. I mean, I just had a great relationship with most of my coaches. The only coach that I really had a headache with was Larry Brown. And come to find out later, he just never really liked rookies. So that was basically the problem with myself and Larry Hughes, not to be able to help Allen Iverson out in Philly.
Keeping it Philly, Elton Brand, general manager of that team, to me, really, I think would flourish in today's NBA. Who in the NBA reminds you of Elton Brand?
Right now? Well, we used to call Elton the horse, because he was such big body, long arms. He just had a different type of body frame. Who reminds me? I would probably say the Joker, a little bit. Embiid a little bit. That's probably about it. That's probably it. Yeah. Elton was a monster, man.
He was, and he had dribble. He could rebound. He could draw the double team and pass. Y'all had a quick battle in the playoffs. But I've just always looked at and admired guys that were just different, weren't the standard power forward and center.
Yeah. I mean, he was a little undersized, but again, his wingspan, helped him a lot. And then obviously, he was just a strong individual. So, he had the quickness to play the four, and he had the strength to hold up, most bigs. That was, 7-footers. So it was a great ride for him. It was convenient for him within this game.
Was Tyson Chandler ahead of his time?
Hmm. Um, it's really hard to say because yes, he was athletic. Yes, he was a 7-footer. Yes, he can handle the ball. Um, Early on, he struggled with his shot. So as far as what you see now, I think he would definitely, do some damage in this new NBA because, obviously he was an athletic big. And that's what you see now. A lot of athletic, bigs handling, shooting, all those kind of things. So um, I would say he was right there. I won't say too far ahead of his time, but definitely right there.
There are three guys, past and present, that I've always been fascinated by their game, but I feel like there's no one like them. And I want you to tell me if you've seen anybody before them or anybody after them.
Okay.
Those three guys are Terrell Brandon,
Mm.
Kevin Johnson. That's
Oh,
of you,
wow.
a little before you, but also in
Ah.
today's NBA, Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, wow.
Three
Yeah.
of them have unique games that you just watched. Are there
Mm.
any players past or present that remind you of any of those three? We'll start with Terrell Brandon.
Terrell Brandon. Mm. Uh, uh, Terrell had that mid range that was so deadly. Um, Trying to think, man. That's a tough one. Terrell Brandon type game. And today, everybody's shooting threes, so it's so hard to. Everybody shoot. It's like everybody's taking. Um, I probably would say the. I probably would say maybe Drew Holiday a little bit.
Hmm.
Right? You got the mid range. He's aggressive on defense, quick feet, fast hands. That was Terrell.
Okay.
Uh, a little bit. Trying to think of another. That's off the top. That's the only guy that comes to my mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Kevin Johnson?
Kevin Johnson. I mean, you have. I would say basically every point guard in today's game have a little Kevin Johnson in them, right? They can shoot the three ball. They're quick. They're so fast. They're gonna, orchestrate and get everybody involved. Athletic, right? I would say, you have that in almost every guard nowadays in the league. I would say the kid from Philly, the kid Maxey, he's typical of a Kevin Johnson or that type player, what you're talking about right now. But yeah, I would say damn near every guard, in the league now has that,
Have you seen anybody like Tyrese Halliburton?
Um, he kind of reminds me of like a big. I'm trying to think of a big guard that's like just so athletic that could do a little bit of everything. He's like I'm trying to go back a little bit, not in today's era. Um, he's like a taller version of a Baron Davis, a little bit, right? I mean, just he has almost everything. It's like, you take one thing away from him, he's gonna go and kill you a different way, right? So, I mean, he's just so valuable to his team.
Tim, who told you that wearing double headbands was cool?
Being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and being bored. No, actually, being a part of that team, we had such a great fan base, a lot of little kids coming out, and it was a winning organization, right? So, me being the sixth man coming off the bench, you're always trying to, keep yourself going or keep the eyes on you, and not looking at the superstars. I was obviously playing behind Glenn Robinson, Ray Allen, and Sam Cassell. So, everyone was wearing braids back then. Everyone was wearing single headbands. So what I did was I started with the I put two,
Bicep.
yeah, I put two on the arms first,
Right.
and then I had two rubber bands on each wrist, and then one headband. So I was like, you know what? Let me just flip it around. And I remember the first game I did it was Big O and Kareem came to that game, and I don't know, just bored or whatever. I just put it on, and the fans caught on to it. So the very next game, you start seeing little kids in the stands with. I'm like, okay, we got something here. And by the time that third game came around, the NBA was like, oh, that's it. We're shutting it down. We're shutting it down. So I got that call from Stu Jackson. And then what was so funny about it was the very next week, the Sixers had a TV game, and they made a headband for AI, who at that time was the guy in the league, poster boy in the league. And they made a headband with the different colors in it. And they put the big NBA logo right in the middle. And Chuck comes out with the headband on. And I'm like, well, look at this. And then they start passing them around to every team. Because again, everybody was following his lead with the braids and the tattoos and all that kind of stuff.
So this is very interesting information for this reason. Many times when fans learn, they see the tweet now of this person's getting fined or this person is reprimanded.
Right.
I guess the mystery behind it is, how do you get the call? Is it they're calling the team headquarters and they put you on the phone? They're calling your house? They're calling your cell phone? How does that process go? And what is the exact conversation like with whomever is handing down a punishment or reprimand?
It depends. It depends on the situation. So
Okay.
when I had some craziness going on, was about to be a bunch of fights and stuff like that, it was a direct call, right? When you're gonna get fined or they're trying to tell you to stop something within I guess their rules, their guidelines, or they want to take it and make money off of it, they'll call the GM, and the GM will relay that message to the trainer, and then the trainer will tell you. So, it's different ways. If you get fined by your team, back then they used to just hand you a pink slip. You missed a plane or late for practice, they'll give you a pink slip, and you'll have the number on there. Exactly what you're getting fined. So, I mean, I'm not sure how it's being played out now, but that was back then.
You guys get paid back then, and I believe now, the 1st and the 15th of the month.
Yeah.
When you got the pay stub, does it say when you're finding your doc on the pay stub and what for?
No. I mean, you don't really get a chance to see that because you got to also remember when you're in season, when you're playing in different states, you get taxed in those states.
Okay.
So, if you're playing for West Coast or Florida team, say you're playing for the Heat, and it's the 15th, and you're playing in New York, so you're gonna get taxed extra because of all of the New York taxes.
Sure.
So people don't realize that, but no, you don't get a chance to see that till later on.
Most people don't know that. Some of that I knew, but I'm glad you clarified it. You are the walking encyclopedia of all things basketball, whether it's on the court, whether it's lifestyle, and more. I cannot go on with this conversation without asking something related to Michael and Scottie, and it's a pretty easy one. I know that Scottie was your mentor, is your
Right.
mentor when you were playing, and Michael, you got to know. Michael was larger than life. I know a lot of times, particularly in today's NBA, they talk about comparisons, and I know Anthony Edwards is someone by position that many people make comparisons to Michael. I'll take that and raise you this. In today's NBA, who is the modern day Scottie Pippen?
Today's NBA, that's tough. You don't find too many guys being able to do what Scottie did. I mean, on both ends. I'm talking day in, day out. I don't see it. I don't see it. And, you know, with MJ, obviously you're going to have, you know, everyone trying to compare themselves to MJ, right? To me, I think the closest guy to that was Kobe, because Kobe would just, you know, he would call Mike, he would study Mike. I mean, I don't think it's anybody ever going to be, you know, as close to that comparison. I mean, with Scottie, it's really hard, man, because you don't see guys on a consistent basis doing what that guy did, you know, and that's tough. It's hard. You know, it's hard to, you know, play defense and go, you know, average 25 plus points, you know, consistent. It's tough, you know, so there's some guys that can do it, but doing it on a consistent basis, I haven't seen it.
Was it difficult to play against Scottie when you were early on in your career because many people made the comparisons to you and him?
No, I mean, it was a thrill for me because you got to remember, I cracked the league at 20, going 20 to turning 21. So Scottie used to always tell me, you can't hang out with me, you know, nothing until you're of age, right? So even having an opportunity to play that game against him, it was everything. You know, we was one of the teams that beat him. I think it was the 72-10 year, Philly. So that was a thrill. And, you know, it's just like going up against your big brother. I mean, there's no fear, you know, even though Mike was, you know, talking crazy, you know, and trying to, you know, get Pip going. But it was just, you know, a great time for me to have that opportunity to, you know, compete against him and share that same floor with him and Mike, you know, each and every time we had that opportunity.
What was Scottie's sneaker collection like?
Scottie had a little bit of everything. Obviously he was a Nike guy, so he had, you know, he had MJs, he had pennies, he had obviously his own shoe. You know, he was a Nike dude, so he could, you know, put on anybody's shoe, you know. I do remember being, after my rookie year, I might have told you this story, but after my rookie year, I did get an invite to go to Chicago and hang out with Scottie for a little bit. And they had the, I don't know if it was the MJ or the Scottie Pippen Summer Classic. But anyway, you know, that game was in Chicago, so a lot of the NBA guys used to go down. So I went down like a week before to work out with Scottie and, you know, just, you know, to hang out, whatever. And one day he took me to MJ house early in the morning, and the whole Bulls team was there, and they was getting ready to, you know, do their workout, whatever. And they didn't mind that I was there because I was young. I wasn't gonna stop any dynasty or anything at that time anyway. But I was an Adidas athlete. So I walk in the house, in MJ house, I got all Adidas gear on. So MJ stopped me at the door. Hey, oh, you gotta take that off. You gotta take that off. So they basically stripped me down and put me in all Nike gear. Yeah. So when I end up leaving MJ house, the funny thing was all my Adidas gear was packed up in the bag, sitting outside. He didn't even leave the gear inside. He had the gear sitting outside the house. Yeah. So I do remember that.
And you were how old?
I'm 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I do remember that like yesterday.
Listen, you are getting memories being with the greats, Michael and Scottie, and you're creating memories with your current team, Paramus Catholic. Begrudgingly, I'll say that because, as you know, Don Bosco. But
Yeah.
What are two things, X's and O's, that you're preaching to your team?
Um, X and O's. Well, not necessarily X and O's. I'm just preaching to them to have the will to compete, right? Because we know nowadays, with social media and just guys with bigger platforms and names, they kind of get that MJ treatment, right? Guys kind of get scared before it even happens. And for me, I told the guys that I was going to put them in the toughest, situation possible, going into, this season. And that's exactly what I did. So I'm like, guys, here it is. It's a basketball game. It's not war. You just go out there, you compete, you let the chips fall where they may. And, if you want to make a statement and you want to put yourself on the map, this is how you do it. You go play, the bigger names, the bigger programs, and you compete with them and you gain some respect, throughout the state. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's what we're looking forward to, having some fun and jumping right out the window and landing right on that fire. Don't run away from it, run to it.
Tim Thomas and the Paramus Catholic boys basketball team. It seems that your mantra is "I will always work." I see it in the caption on social media where you posted your schedule. It begins December 14th against JFK. You're running through 4 days before Valentine's Day. You finish off the season against Notre Dame Catholic in Connecticut. You all over state of New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. I wish you nothing but success this season, my brother.
Thank you, brother.
You know what? I think we should do a show.
I think so. You guys stay tuned. How about that?